Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you today with Uncanny X-Men 286. And I was excited to get this book in the mail. I don't remember when I ordered this book, the quality of what they shipped me. I mean, look at the way that the cover's rolling off. I mean, look at this thing. Am I going to return it? No, because I don't have a copy. So at least in the meantime, at least I'm getting a reader copy, but God bless, this is a horrible condition, and yeah, it just chaps my hide. Other than that, as you can see from the cover, absolutely gorgeous artwork being done here. The print date on this book was March 1992. This is Jim Lee and Willis Patachio doing the story and the art, Art Thibert doing the finishes, Scott Lobdell scripting. Now, from what I understand, the importance of this issue is, I believe, in terms of scripting, this is the first X-Men book that Scott Lobdell was on. So very cool stuff there. Joe Rosas doing colors. And I love this Task Force X lettering. It just made me laugh because I immediately thought of Suicide Squad. Bob Harris editing and Tom DeFalco, editor-in-chief. And look at this. Compared to a lot of modern comics, again, 92 digital art wasn't that well yet. And I love how they do the paneling where they don't use the fullness of the page. It just adds to it. I remember when I used to draw my own comics as a kid that I would kind of follow this because I just thought that it left this really great impact. And here, two X-Men from a long, long time ago. I love right here it says, between the two of them, Peter Rasputin and Jean Grey, it can be argued, seen it all. As X-Men, they have witnessed the fall of civilizations and the rebirth of a universe. But nothing in his experience could have prepared the mutant known as Colossus for the sight he sees before him. Countless dimensions from the world he calls home. And he first time gets to see his brother, who he thought long ago dead. And I love the dialogue here. Listen to how this is written. He says, "For now, let my eyes and heart feast upon a sight too long denied me. It has been years since I stood in the presence of my little brother. In truth, I had long ago abandoned any hope of reunion." And Colossus just picks him up in glee. "Can it be? Have you returned from the dead? On the contrary, I have yet to take leave of this life. Though the conviction of your embrace may indeed be my end, Caval." When you read a lot of newer X-Men, you don't get this type of dialogue anymore. Where it kind of just tingles on the brain and the heartstrings. A lot of modern X-books that are modern comics in general that have not done this to me. I think the last book that I read where there was like a reunion like this that kind of really teared me up and just hit me was the Batman vs. Robin issue 1, where Bruce finally accepts this Alfred, who he thought is a clone, finally realizes that it's Alfred, and it's just a very emotional moment, and this was one of those. Now you come to find out that Mikhail is supposed to be the savior of this planet that he's ended up on. Now again, I've talked about how any comic book should be your first comic. You should be able to jump in and at least get some sort of idea of what's going on. And as you read this book, you come to find out that the plot that's been scripted thus far, the X-Men have been sucked into this void. And it's another dimension, and this is where we find Mikhail Rasputin, who's long, as I just said, has long since been presumed dead. Storm found him, brought him back to the fold here with the other two X-Men. And then we get the backstory of what happened, how he was a cosmonaut, and they said faking his death would be easier than, that way he wouldn't have any emotional ties to his past. And then how he was brought to this world. He's saved by this Avatar and her daughter, whom he falls in love with because she heals him, get married, but they find out that the Avatar is not all that he seems to be. So he leads a revolution. And Peter and Mikhail Rasputin, the reason that he was chosen for this void, because what happens when he's a cosmonaut is the Russian government finds out he's a mutant, and they said, "Oh, well, you can do what is it? What is his power exactly?" Hold on, I mean, back up because my brain can't remember. It's some sort of power warping exactly. Let me. It was believed my energy warping powers would provide us with safeguard into the void. Okay, there it is. Power, energy, or energy warping powers. Blah, 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 blah. So he comes to find out there's something about the Avatar, and he uses his powers to stop him, but at the cost of everything that he's grown to love on his new home world. And it's broken him. He tells Storm that it's not that he doesn't want to save his people because of this void that's been reignited. He refuses to because he doesn't believe in himself. Look at that. Look at that storytelling right there with the hero's journey with Mikhail Rasputin. Wow. And now we come to a rebel base, and this is where we find out where Sunfire and Iceman have been sucked in. And the Avatar's people are trying to, ransack the place and take hostages. And this guy says, "Where's your loyalties?" And Bobby's just like, "I'm a Mets fan myself. You, Sunfire? Drake, do not drag me into your attempts at levity. Perhaps this will loosen your tongue. What say you now, Outlander?" Care to do the honors, Sun-san? This is a situation more suited to your penchant for grandstanding. Too true. 32 degrees later, and they're just frozen. And so he has a couple of fans here, and they go, "You have my gratitude, stranger. Is there anything I can do for you?" And I love how Bobby just gets this larkish look on his face, and he goes, "Actually, I have a list here somewhere." And then Sunfire's like, "Iceman!" But I'll settle for directions to the rebel camp. And she just looks away sad, like, "As you wish." This is the Bobby Drake I miss. He's just this little smartass and knew how to flirt. Good stuff there. And then this is where I meant earlier where I said every comic book should be your first. Here, Xavier and Forge are monitoring the void. And here you get a little bit of exposition dump, but it gives anybody who hasn't been keeping up sort of what's going on. An excellent way that it's done between newscasts, between the talk between Forge and Xavier. And again, even though this is like an exposition page, artwork on point. We get not backstory, but more like what the threat of the void is from Nick Shield. I'm gonna start calling him Mick Shield. Nick Fury, Hank Pym, and Reed Richards. And then we get back in here. This is where things are so tough because Colossus is saying, "Why won't you help these people?" And Colossus tells him, "So after your death, I always cling to the dream of what type of man you were." And they get into a huge fight, and Peter's like, "I can't believe the type of person you've become." He's like, "You need to speak of pain and suffering. Until you don the uniform of an X-Man, you do not know nothing or the meanings of these words. You think because you cry, because you yield to the sorrows which envelop you, that you are more man than I? I struggle for a greater cause than myself, and I have more than once saved the lives of others. And though it shames me, I too have taken lives. The difference between you and I is that I keep going, and you have given up." And here, Jean's a little, she wants to try to smooth things over. And she's like, "Mika, hell, I've never seen him act that way before." And then him in silhouette. Again, the way the paneling's done to show how this man's feeling. He goes, "That's because I've never let him down before." Oh, damn good storytelling right there, guys. Oh, and then we kind of find out what's happening with Warren, where he's become a puppet of the Avatar. And even though this is a gorgeous, gorgeous splash page here, you come to find out how Warren's being manipulated into being, again, another harbinger of death to basically shut down Mikhail and the rebels, because the new Avatar in this time does not want the void stopped like it was in the past when Mikhail first became the savior of this world. And I'm purposely leaving out the names because I don't know how to pronounce them, and I don't feel like being barraged in the comments of "this is how you say it." And no. And then the last half of the book is just a full-on cacophony of fighting, and then a great moment between brothers, resolution. And the one thing that I love is you think Mikhail's dead. So spoiler warning here, but I want to talk about it because I thought this was a very great way to start getting to wrap up the issue, is where Colossus is like, no, I did not find you only to lose you again. Breathe blast you. There is so much you have to do. You've not even met our sister. And of course, comics. We have a sister? Her name is Eliana. How old is she? That depends on who you ask. I do not understand. It gets complicated. Because remember, Eliana, her history is all over the place, where she was a child, came to the States, went to Purgatory, came back a teenager, joined the New Mutants, and then I can't remember, what issue is it where she becomes a little girl again? If you guys could let me know, I'll go over, but yeah, that's where it gets a little complicated for me, but then by the 90s, she's once again a child. And so that's what it means by her age differentiating throughout the history of X books, and like Peter says, it gets complicated. So guys, this may not be like the next, oh my God, like ultimate event or 1/1000th variant of a cover or first appearance of a major blah, 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 blah. This is just downright a fun comic book with great storytelling and an excellent hero's journey with Peter's brother. I highly, highly recommend it, and I need to find another copy of this because this is just looking at it like this frustrates the crap out of me. But if you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if you can get a copy if you've enjoyed this review. We really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little mutant bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.